Are you frustrated that you're not making money with AI, even though everybody's saying they're making tens of thousands of dollars a month? I remember sitting at zero. I was watching YouTube videos, but then I used the right model, and then I was able to build and sell my tech startup. And now I run a seven-figure AI automation business. 99% of agencies are overcomplicating it. And in this video, I'm going to show you an unbelievably simple process that you can follow to get your first $1,000 to $3,000 a pop with absolutely zero coding experience required. It is called the AI Audit. I'm going to show you exactly how to do them, what they actually look like, the full process step to step. I'm going to show you how you create these audits that clients pay thousands of dollars for, and then how they translate into bigger projects for $10,000, $20,000, $30,000. I'm going to bookmark this video down below so you can skip around easily as and when you need to, and make sure that you save this video for later, because when you're looking at your agency and you want to accelerate your profit, you're definitely going to want to come back and check this one later. So let's begin with the $3,000 AI audit that sells between 1 to 3K. And I'll get onto that in a second. The AI audit is a very sophisticated, very simple part that you can slot into your business offering that is going to make you more money. Now, why do we care about this? Well, an AI audit is basically an opportunity assessment. It looks a little bit something like this, and I'll come back onto this later on in the video. Now, imagine for a second that we call your dentist, okay, and your tooth hurt and you want to have a conversation about it, you want to do different things. And this dentist says, hey, I think you need to have that tooth pulled out. And he says, look, do you want to buy that right now? I've got my credit card here. It'll be about $20,000. What would you say? Would you buy that? Now, imagine you call a mechanic, this guy, okay? And he says, hey, Jack, it sounds like you're going to need a new engine. What would your reaction to that be? Would you buy it? Of course you wouldn't, because you're super smart. Now, in reality, what they do is they don't sell the solution. What they initially sell is an audit. I was just speaking to a tax professional in America. He said, look, well, before we can even talk about what we do, we need to do an assessment for you. Let's have a conversation about it. Now, how do you know that I need an engine if you haven't even seen the car? Is exactly what you would be thinking in this scenario. Now, audits basically solve the awareness problem. And this exact same principle applies for AI. There is one exception, but I'll touch on that shortly. Is the idea of how do you know what to sell me if you don't even understand what my business actually is? Now, businesses don't know what they need most of the time. Even when they tell you they need something, most of the times they don't really know. They've just caught a video somewhere, somebody said something that's gone, you need to go do X, Y, Z. And the amount of content that's kind of like frothy and not really like helpful is crazy. And they catch these videos and they think they have a great idea. Sometimes, most of the time they don't. You are showing the opportunities and effectively the fastest way to get ROI. Now, 95% of projects, according to a big study by MIT, who looked at all of the really big projects with the super enterprise clients, fail. And they miss. They don't do the strategy step first, which is the assessment. Because when you do the assessment, you'll actually then be able to understand what stuff you need to work on. So not only is it basically more profitable to have a smaller thing, you'll get more conversions, but also you're going to do less failure projects, which is great if you want to get paid more than 1 month, which is a big issue a lot of people have. Now, should we talk about money? Audits can sell for over $50,000. In fact, I had a conversation a couple of weeks ago about an audit on a rag thing, and that we pitched roughly $50,000 to $60,000. So they can get more expensive, but obviously the value is even higher. So they can get really, really expensive. Now, what we're going to cover in this video is what I call quick strike audits. Okay. Now, a quick strike audit is something that you would sell between $1,000 to $3,000 for. Obviously, for greater complexity, larger organizations, the price scales, but this is a snack size entry product that you can sell. And the idea is that we get loads of businesses saying, Jack, that sounds an amazing deal. I'll throw $1,000 at that. I'll throw $3,000 at that. Typically speaking, the quick strike audits that I talk about here take around 6 to 8 hours to complete. So if you were to break down what that means for your time, if you're starting to get your first client, it can be up to about $375 an hour. Obviously, you can outsource this to a trusted team, and obviously you can get quicker the more that you do it. So what is your positioning? Well, you're not going to position yourself as a fortune teller, somebody that knows all of the answers. You conduct opportunity assessments. And effectively, the core metric that we want to arrive at here is what we call the COI, which is the cost of inaction. What is the pounds and pence, dollar and cents, basically effect to the business if they're not working with you? If they don't do these 6 things that we identified, let's say that you got a business making $120,000 a month and you identified the missing systems like conversion systems, customer acquisition systems that would take them to $200K a month. You're literally losing $80,000 a month or $960,000 a year. That is the cost of you not doing this thing. So we're really clear on the impact assessment. Now, the crazily beautiful thing about audits is the fact that you get paid to learn about their business whilst also providing value. And who do you think they're going to go to? The person that's given them like a 10-step roadmap to crush it. So it's a beautifully sophisticated, like a blazingly simple way of doing it. So before we go through the exact process though, which I'm going to cover in this video for you, let's actually summarize your $0 to $10,000 pathway. That's a number that a lot of agencies want to hit, first of all, to make you feel like you're breathing and you can hit all the beautiful freedom metrics that you want. Unit economics. Jack, am I back in an economy class? No, you're not, but you're going to see exactly why this is so cool. I'm going to come on to exactly how you get from complete stranger to paying for your big transformation products and monthly recurring revenue. But I have to touch on this so you get it. And you're going to see why this is just a model that is way better because it's just a better system. Let's say, for example, we have 100 businesses that you have added value to in some way. You've applied to a job on Upwork, you've done some social media content, you've delivered meaningful value to them in some way. You may consider this YouTube video, for example, something of value to you. So anything that's delivered value, okay? And instead of saying like everyone else does, hey, do you want to buy this $10,000 product? What we say after we've warmed them up, and I'll comment on that in a second, actually, what we're going to do is give you a complete roadmap and we're going to give you clarity on that we're actually working on the right things. And it's not $10,000. It's a really juicy, delicious, just for simplicity's sake of math, $1,000. That's it. Okay. And you get it within 5 days. Oh my gosh, how freaking cool is that? $1,000, clarity in 5 days. Really, really freaking cool. Okay. So we've got 100 people. We pitched this $1,000 thing. Okay. This is scenario 1. And what I'm also going to do is show you scenario 2 here. So say, for example, same scenario, 100 people, instead of 1,000, you've pitched them $10,000. Okay. And in this scenario, I'm going to call this guy Ben. This is Ben, who is the traditional way of doing things. And then over here, we're going to have, I think we should call this guy, let's call this guy something powerful like Alan. Okay. Dr. Alan. We like Alan. Alan's our guy. All right. So we've got Ben and we've got Alan. Now, Ben is the traditional guy. Now, Ben is just basically raw coming out and saying, dude, I've had my 3 coffees this morning. I'm going to charge you $10,000. Okay. And let's just say for an argument's sake, his conversion rate is somewhere around 2%. Okay. Which means that he is netting roughly $20,000 in his projects, assuming that he can actually convert them. Again, I'm just simplifying these numbers to make sense, right? Now, what's happened with Ben is Ben's not done any strategy work. He's just delivered the projects that they want, which means that they only really stick, say, an average for 2 months, which means his total income is going to be $40K. All right. He doesn't have any systems. He has made $40,000 from all that individual total. Okay. Then let's take a look at Alan. Partially inspired by Invincible. Alan, the big kind of one-eyed alien, he's a really cool guy. So Alan, instead of going straight to, I'm going to sell you $10,000, is basically, look, let's understand what it is that we're working on right now so that I know I can give you the best possible advice. Because if we're going to work on anything, it needs to be giving you an ROI. Agreed? Cool. So actually, $1,000 is way more snack size than $10,000. So instead of getting 2%, what he actually has instead is 20% of people, okay, buying the thing. So what does that mean? That means that Alan has now gotten $20,000 just in order income, okay? That's it. This is assuming it's all at $1,000 a piece. Beautiful, brilliant. Then, what Alan then does, and we'll comment exactly how he did this in the video, he says, brilliant, this is the roadmap, now this is the next step. And Alan has 2 packages, okay? Alan has package 1 and package 2, but I'm going to simplify it just for the calculation's sake. I'm going to simplify his average order value the next thing. And the average order value we're going to say here, just for comparison's sake, is $10,000, okay? Now, what's happened here is they've delivered unbelievable value, okay, at that price point that they really like. And actually what happens with Alan is, of those 20 people, okay, he is actually going to convert, we're going to say 80% of these people onto it. But actually, let's even make it less than that, just for some, say half of them buy it. Only 1 out of 2, which would be crazy because you've given them the complete gold, and I'll show you in this video. Okay, so now he has basically 10 people who are also going to pay him $10,000, right? Which means he has, in addition to that, $100,000 in income, which I've just added an extra zero in there because maybe Alan is just crushing it, okay? He's got 100K in actual project work, plus he's gotten, I'm going to come down here, additional 20K in audits, okay? And on top of that, he's also got monthly recurring revenue models as well. I'm going to put that down at 2K, and I'll come on to what those are later in the video as well, okay? It's giving a total income of $122,000. Same thing, just absolutely crushed it. But this is where it gets even crazy, guys, is that the value doesn't even stop there. Beyond this, what's also happened here is, have you noticed that Alan has now worked with 20 people over here? Okay, we got 20 here. This guy's worked with 2. So think of his surface area and his brand value, like the number of impressions and positive energy that he's given as a result of that. Not only that, you also have this other 80 that may come back at any one time and work with them. So you can start to see how these economics step up. And, you know, when I lay it out like this, it's like so obvious. This is clearly the right thing. Now, the audit's job is not to put you on a beach in Bali. The audit's job is not to help you retire early. Even as we've seen, it can make you a preposterous amount of money. The idea of the audit is really to get them to buy the actual thing, which is a transformation. That's kind of its job. Now, if you're looking at money, like because one of the big things I wanted in this channel, guys, is because I was like you. I worked a corporate job. I wasn't in love with it. I wanted to do my own thing. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. And not everyone agreed, thought that was a cool idea. Like a lot of people thought it was really silly at the time. And in a short period of time, it doesn't look a great idea, but you add a few years to it, it's like the best thing ever. And I always wondered, like, well, how do you actually get from, like, I'm sat at my laptop, this sounds great, what do I physically do? So I'm going to show you this 5-step process. It just really will help you conceptualize it. And I call this the 5 pillars for new AI funnel, the stuff that actually works. So number 1 is free value and outreach. And if you're very familiar with this stuff, feel free. You can always skip up timestamp down below. But if not, it's just so helpful to get refreshed on the stuff, is free value and outreach. So the first thing that we do is we are creating content that adds with big capital V value. Okay, like this video as a for instance, or my other YouTube channel, or, you know, there's loads of different, or LinkedIn or Instagram. You're picking one of these platforms or multiple platforms, which I recommend. I call it the hero platform, the redistribution method. And then you're basically just adding loads of value, speaking to the avatar. Or you're doing outreach. You are sending emails. You are reaching out on Upwork. You're having beautiful conversations. You're adding value. You're starting things. This is the top of funnel. We are getting leads. Beautiful. Once we've done that, we're then on to the second thing, which is the lead magnet or the diagnostic. Now, here's the interesting thing here, okay, is that a lot of people skip this step, okay? This guy right here, they skip it and they go straight to the next one, which is the paid audit. Now, you can just simply add value and say, guys, if you want a paid audit, just click the link down below. You will get sales for that 100%, okay? And they'll come down and they'll buy the paid AI audit, which is the scope of today's video. But one thing, the way I want you to think about this middle step, okay, is like, why do we add in an additional step? We added an additional step because the idea is that, say, for example, I should change color because we're getting a lot of red here. If we have 100 people at this step, okay, and we send them directly down to the paid audit, you may get something like, for argument's sake, 5 people to do it. All right, because it's a bigger step. Think of it like climbing rungs on the ladder. Okay, the more rungs they are, the easier it is to ascend, the ascension pathway. The idea with the lead magnet is that, well, actually, it's a free thing. It's like a quiz. It's an assessment. So you may say, for example, you know, are you an AI ready organization? Or, you know, in one of my accelerators, we have this great individual called Julia. She's building out her email list. And her example of this diagnostic I was looking at recently is, how much money are you losing from your email list? And you basically give information like, how many people do you have? How much money do you sell your thing for? And it will give you a dollar and a cents number. So it's something really easy to build and something actionable. I can get into more detail in a different video if you want me to, but the idea is it amplifies it. And the concept here is that instead of 5 people, we actually get 50 people because it's free, right? And we've added more value. We've captured emails. We've captured everything. So not only have we captured the emails and data, but then we say, great, well, based on this information, Jack, I think you need to do the audit. So instead of 5 people, what we actually get is something like 20 people. So we quadruple it. We 4x the amount of people that do the paid audit because we add this additional step. Think of it like a ladder. Instead of going from this to this, you're going bam, bam, bam. So that's the only reason we have lead magnets. It's something enticing to add value and nurture as they come down our process. Really, really important to understand. Now, we do the paid AI audit. We have a rock and roll in. good and beautiful time. Then what we do once we've given the paid audit, again, in this audit, we are selling at roughly 1 to 3K. Obviously, again, this is the quick strike audit that I'm teaching you in this video. After that, we go to the paid transformation, which is basically, we've shown you the way, we've given you the roadmap. Let's build it. Let's actually do it. Let's just crush it. And again, I'll show you techniques for that. That's a paid transformation. And then the final bit here is the ongoing monthly recurring revenue. So really elegant business models have some degree of MRR. And I've certainly made the mistake before of having thousands of customers every month. My last tech startup, of the 3,000 actually, I did buy and then they'd leave. And I was like, we need to, but I was like, imagine if they all just kept paying us every month. Like, wouldn't that be really cool? Like, because then we don't have to continually keep on getting thousands of customers. Our like base just grows. And by the way, if you ever want to sell your business, you get like typically a 4 to 5 times greater multiple on subscription businesses than you do in simple transaction businesses. All that to say, we do that. And then basically once we've done a transformation product, we have something that they move onto MRR. That could be an educational product. It could be maintenance, could be lots of stuff, but really cool. Very, very, very cool, sophisticated business model. So now we've covered that. Let's come up and click on to the next part. So again, free value and outreach, a diagnostic lead magnet, a paid AI audit, a transformation we charge circa $10,000 for, and then MRR for ongoing revenue. Now, there are 5 chapters to basically this brilliant and beautiful audit. I kind of made it very, very simple, kind of like rungs on a ladder, if you like that analogy. But to give you a giant head start, I'm going to start with chapter 1. It is very simple, but very important. And what I'd like you to do is answer 6 very quick questions, okay? Number 1 is who it is that you help, what their top 3 pain points are, what your unique positioning is, your audit or your offer, your content angle, and then your conversion pathway. Okay, sounds great. I like the emojis, Jack. What does it all actually mean? Well, basically, your specific avatar is basically industry, business type, or problem set. So we can niche down based on, for example, dentists, or it could be business, e-commerce businesses that are making 50K a month that are struggling with conversion, right? Their main point, think of the things that keep them up at night. Typically, we need to speak to the businesses to understand this. Your unique positioning, that's I help X solve Y pain using Z approach. Really key to have your positioning down. If you're selling to everybody, guess who you're selling to? Nobody. Your audit offer, the name, the price, the time frame, and the deliverable. Audit names absolutely crush it. Very, very cool. And if I know defined outcome within Z time frame, very, very cool. So I like the 5-day guarantee thing. Very, very cool. There's actually a funny story for Glido, which is our text-to-speech app. It is so quick, by the way. We were looking at a branding agency, and their whole thing was $25,000 guaranteed in, I think, 2 weeks. And they just literally, that's the whole thing. That's the whole model. They did one client at a time. I thought that was a really interesting example of this as well. Your content angle. So this is topics you talk about. This, by the way, is driven by the pain points, what they're thinking about. And then your conversion pathway, which is basically how you go from a stranger to them buying your thing. So this is step 1, grab a sheet of paper, grab a coffee, and write down the answers for these ones right here. So now we've got your positioning locked down. And by the way, am I like blending in with this beautiful green? Someone said it looks like I'm in a jungle. I cannot confirm or deny those comments. We've got the positioning. And remember, we've done all the kind of psychological stuff. So we're working hard. We're putting the right amount of time into it. The next thing that we need to do is physically go out and get leads. Now, the lead acquisition thing is outside the scope of this video. So what I would strongly recommend you do if you don't have as many leads as you want to is check out this video and the link on screen, which is a full video I did on how to get your first clients, the scraping strategies, the social media strategies that help you do that. I'd go and watch that one in detail, and then you can come back to this video or just watch the rest of the video and do it afterwards so you know how to do it. But the point is, we've got your positioning, which is something that we change over time, and we're constantly working on lead generation. Remember, it is an unsolvable thing. You always add to it, but what typically tends to happen is you'll start to get referrals, which means that whether you're doing anything or not, leads start coming to you. Now, pillar 3 is what we call business discovery. So we've got a client that says, hey, Jack, I love that. $1,000 sounds great. All they do, they simply pay it for us, and we schedule a phone call for 60 to 90 minutes. That's basically the core of it. Now, if you're thinking, how do I know whether to price $1,000 or $3,000? You'll kind of get a sense from speaking to them on the call. If you think it's going to require more than one conversation, increase the price. If you think it's just one conversation, it's a small founder, he just wants to know what the hell's going on, then you can do that as well. Really, really cool. All right. So let's take Teddy A, for example. Someone's come on, they said, Jack, I want to chat. I want to get an audit. I love your vibe. I love what you guys are up to. I love the numbers. I want to book you in and get some cool conversations. So what we do is we have a Cal link, which looks something like this. So I'll open this up. Do you know, it's funny, guys. I've tried a few different platforms like Calendly and Cal. I just think Cal looks delicious. It's such a beautiful thing. And you can also add your team into this one as well. So basically we do this. I let them book a 15-minute call. Obviously what you would do, this is like an exploration thing. And then I have a second link, which is for like more for audits and conversations, right? This is more of the exploration thing that I do. Now, they'll book a 60 to 90-minute call. You can give them a 90-minute call so they have like plenty of time. And you could say, we've got the full time. If we don't need it, we can take the time back. Brilliant. So they paid you $1,000. So effectively what we want to do is the second they book a meeting, we want to send them an email. So what we would do in Make.com or NA10, we would come over, we'd find Cal.com. You would just simply click on, let's have a look here. Where are we right now? We do when a booking is created. Beautiful. And then you can connect this to your account, basically click on a webhook and they'll ask you for an API key, which you can grab in Cal.com on the left-hand side under API keys. You create the API key, and then you basically paste it in to connect it. Then what we want to do is Gmail, which is cool. And you can also do this when a meeting finishes, which is really cool. So then you'd create an email with this. I remember Make's really good for just making like Gmail integrations very, very simple. But basically what we do, guys, is we then send them an email that does a couple of things. The email, what we want it to do is simple. Basically, we're saying, great, really excited for the, hey, Jack, excited for the audit. Ahead of the call on insert date, I want you to complete the below questionnaire. Now, this is really important. I personally like using paper form. Jot form's also really good. So there's like a load of great things. But our audit captures this information. Now, the reason why we're capturing this information is really, really important to understand because we're going to use this to build out the audit and it makes the conversation better. So if you imagine like, the more data and information you've got about the business ahead of the call, the better use for time that you can make of that. Like if you're walking in there blind and they're saying, oh yeah, we help people buy beautiful coffees from Coffee Planet, it's like you're off guard. So the questions that I like to capture are this, and bear in mind, they paid you $1,000. So they're going to want to do this. It also just, by the way, just a side note, makes you look way more professional because you can usually assess someone's competence based on the questions that they ask you. So we grab this, which is full name, their email, their phone number, their business, just in a short sentence. Like, yeah, we don't need like Wuthering Heights basically, but we just want to know like their business thing. Annual turnover, this is just to get that kind of crisp metric of what it is. Obviously for like larger corporate clients, we don't start at the 0 to 10K range. We use a different form for that because like nothing turns like a big client off than like if it's 0 to 10, 10 to 100, usually it's 0 to 250, 250 to a million, and then like, 10 mil, 50 mil plus, 100 mil, etc. Because like a 100 mil client, for example, seeing this wouldn't think they'd have questions. Key thing here, what is your customer journey? So this basically is click to close. So you'd explain how to get customers. So for example, I would say we create content on LinkedIn, on YouTube, we do outreach, we have conversations, we give them a cool diagnostic. Once they do that, they then go ahead and buy an audit. Then from the audit, what they would go and do is then buy our transformation products, and then we help them with education and maintenance and support. The way that we do it is these platforms, that platforms, blah, blah, blah. That's cool. Then what we do is your dream outcome. So this would be like kind of what do you want? Like, and there's no better way to live the value for someone than just say, hey, what do you want? Really cool. Then their biggest problem right now. So this is a really good one to understand. Like you're going to make your own assessment and judgment, but it's really good to hear the client's viewpoint on this and what they think. Then we've got key metrics. Really, really important here. Typically, we used to have like abbreviations in this, like CAC and LTV and ROAS and all this sort of stuff, but it just confuses people. Like use simple language. So, provide your monthly revenue, total cost, profit, number of leads, conversion rate, lead to customer, customer acquisition cost, and customer lifetime value. Bam. That's straightforward. So you get all this sort of stuff like our price point is this is our retention rate, this is our recurring rate. Quick win that you'd love. Really great one just for information about when you actually work with them, how you can get a smile on their face really quickly. Then we've got critical workflows. So this is going to be stuff like what keeps the business running, what keeps the business operational, what are the big, most important things, and then a list of tools. So we want to know their current software stack so we can do things like feasibility studies. So you've booked the meeting. They booked something with Cal.com. Incredible. Once that's happened, they're then going to do this pre-meeting questionnaire. Then the next step is the actual conversation with the client. But before you do that, you need to do one further step, which is very, very cool and a great hack you're going to love. And that is getting something like Fireflies or Fathom. These are AI note takers. And I cannot tell you how much time and money this is going to make you, because what you basically do is you have these things joining the call and they will give you the full transcript after the call. And that's going to be really important when you want to talk to the meeting, which we're going to use the software for, and actually just help us understand and articulate the plan of action. So this is, guys, like, if I just would never join a meeting without an AI note taker. They join me everywhere. So I can actually find out what was it they said then, their revenue expectations were, or what did we agree as next steps. It's beautiful. So make sure that you've got Fireflies.ai or Fathom Note Taker. I use Fireflies.ai. They all kind of do the same thing, but they're very, very cool. So we're going to get this, and then we're going to actually jump on to the meeting with the client. Now, there's a set structure that you can follow in those meetings, but typically speaking, you're going to have a lot of the core data points that will help you begin the conversation. Now, typically speaking, there's like 6 things that I like to get out of it. So after we've built a little bit of rapport and had a good conversation, the first thing I like to start with on this is big and beautiful goals. So this isn't just, what's your physique goal? It's like, actually, I want to talk next 12 months. So basically, we do a little bit of a short-term goal, which is 6 to 12 months. And then what we want to look at is something slightly longer term, so potentially future. Now, in business, as Tyson says, no plan survives contact with the enemy. It's very true. I've never had like a strategy that's been accurate beyond 3 months, personally. It's like, I did a senior strategy role at my last company before I left that to do my startup. And it's just silly. It's just silly doing long-term planning. But it's good to understand their kind of direction. Typically speaking, the bigger the enterprise, the longer they plan out. But yeah, we want a good view of their goals. So what is it that you want? You want to be leading X, you want to be leading Y, and drill down into the specifics. Because a lot of the times you can make recommendations to pivot their business into a direction they don't even want. So to say, I want to be the number 1 seller of XYZ. So make sure that you actually understand what the objective of the thing is. Once we've understood what the goals are, we need to move on to something else, which is big capital P, which is pain, okay? The pain. So basically here, we're going to drill into all the stuff at the moment that feels like it's sluggish, that feels like it's not really working that often. So you'll be able to identify a lot of this as I explain the process to you as they go through there, but it's really good to get that. One little hack I should mention as well to get at the start of the call is just ask them in their own words to give you an overview. Okay. And this overview, we kind of want what we call C2C, which is click to close. Just run me through the business. Like, how does it work? Tell me all the information you can about it from A to Z. You've submitted the question, but it's great to hear it from the horse's mouth. Show me all the stuff. So we've got the overview, we've got the goals. We go through the pain points, which is really key. Like, what are the bits that feel sluggish? What's not working right now? Again, we're hearing things. A lot of this, by the way, you'll get more experience with, like the more commercially aware you get to really identify. Remember, you are a doctor in this scenario. You're kind of like assessing the landscape. You're getting all the data at this point, and then we do the execution afterwards. And in the pain section, guys, I just want to clarify as well, you really want to kind of get to the point of, what have you tried before and why hasn't that worked? And that really leads us on to probably the most important part of the call that everybody misses. And that's what we call quantification. Man, this is important. This basically, guys, this thing right here is going to increase your conversion so much. It's unbelievable. So quantification, it's the bit where you say, okay, this is a problem. Great. And so what? Why is it an issue that we're losing 50% of our leads? Oh, because Jack, those leads are worth $2,000. Okay, cool. And we're losing how many did you say? Like 20. Okay, so we're losing $40,000. Effectively, guys, what we're trying to do here, and we can do some analysis off the call, but effectively what we're getting at here is like what I call the COI, which is simply the cost of inaction. In other words, what is the cost to this business if we don't do the things? Now, people value, typically speaking, money they already make more so than money they're not making. It's a crazy psychological feature of the human mind, but it's true, which is why I like to present to them. I'll show this looks like in a second on the packs that we build, the presentation, shall I say rather. This is how much money you're losing as a result of it. Like, they love the idea of potentially earning more money. It's really important to bear that psychological principle in mind. So we go through a big quantification exercise and everything. Once we've done that, the key thing we then need to drill down into is going to be workflows. So this is really cool. Basically, you're just getting a good overview of how this business works. So workflows is just everything that they do. And bear in mind, this is a quick strike audit. So this isn't a 50-hour exercise. You can do audits like that. Obviously, they're more expensive. This is something that's going to give you like 80% of the results for like 20% of the cost. It's really, really cool like that. So in the workflow section, we just understand the processes. So you sell a 10,000 per month product. Awesome. What are the workflows? What does that look like? Okay, you got LinkedIn. Great. What software are you using on LinkedIn? Okay, awesome. Who's managing this thing here? Okay, great. And then what's going on with that? Just keep on asking questions. Keep going deeper, 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 deeper. And I find it very helpful to say to them things along the lines of, look, like, I'm going to ask you a million questions. Just give me like spitfire answers so we can get blah, 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 blah. And then you can always follow back up with further clarificatory questions if you need to, which is great. And just say, I'm going to be that really annoying guy that asks you all the questions you don't want to hear, but I'm doing that so I can understand it. And when we understand it, man, we can be lightning fast in execution. Does that sound cool? Beautiful. So once we've done that, guys, we're on to the next one, which is going to be tools. So this is just all of the software they're using. So great. What are you using at the moment? We're using Slack. Big one actually is key point, which is data, which is where is the data held? Who's involved with that? What does that look like? We're using Slack, we're using ChatGPT API, we're doing A, B, C, D, F, G. Really, really important. And on the workflow thing, guys, what we kind of want to get to as an output to this is really, 3 to 5 core workflows. And then probably, in depth. And then you want more kind of smaller ones that are ancillary to that, like kind of small processes. Like, okay, cool. Like, so we don't, and sometimes you're like, you don't even have a workflow for that? Great. Awesome. That means we can add even more value. This is fantastic. Fantastic. So that's cool. Tools, data, we want to understand everything like that. Like what is everything that they're using, all their software. Again, that's going to be critical to do feasibility studies. And then finally, we want to kind of finish with a little bit on vision and expectations, which is essentially what do you want AI to do? What are your expectations for this sort of stuff? Like how would you like to see this work? Okay. Expectations. Cool. And a lot of this is just like a general framework, but effectively at the back of your mind, I want you to have the 3 E's framework, which is going to be like, what are the things that we're thinking of eliminating? Okay. What are the things that we're thinking of doing more of, which is like expanding? I should say the expanding, by the way, is things like revenue opportunities. So things that we could be doing that we're not currently doing. So this is kind of removing, think of this as like low level tasks, like boring, admin, repetitive stuff. Expanding is what we call new. Okay. And then the 3rd E is going to be enhancing, which is taking something that's already working and making it better. Okay. It's so powerful. I can't even write it on this whiteboard. That's how powerful this is. So you'll find that, especially like a lot of large contracts that I've done, ones that have run for multiple years, that pay really well. Basically, it's actually enhancing an already existing profit center for the business. This here is your bread and butter. I'd much rather, if you I had to give you priority or order for this, it would be this, okay? 1 is to enhance, find out what works, do more of it, do it better, make it slicker. That will make you way more money and make the client way more money. The second thing I would want to do is eliminate, which is find all the boring admin tasks, get rid of them. And the third thing I would do then is expand, which is new. So it's enhance, eliminate, then expand. Chapter 4 then is basically the part where what we really want to do is find out, well, what is really the opportunity for the client? So the first step that we do is basically called data collation. Now, data collation here, guys, is going to be a notebook LM. This is going to change your world. It's so freaking cool. So what we do is we head over. I want you to go to Fireflies. I want you to grab the transcript that you just had, and you're going to upload that as pasted text and put here transcript. So for example, if I say, hey, my name is Jack. I run Teddy AI. We are a business that helps people identify bottlenecks. We run diagnostics, audits, and then we help do transformational products. Jack is very competent at this and kicks ass. Beautiful. Okay. By the way, see how quick this is. It's so freaking cool. PS, by the way, waitlist down below if you want to get access to this beautiful text-to-speech thing. So let's just say we add that. That would be then added to the source. The other thing that I like to do personally, guys, is I add in their website. So if I come over to Teddy AI, which is eluding me right now, which is completely gone. Let me just come over here and find it. Because what I like to do is add in the website. I do that just to get additional context about the business because I think it's really cool and helpful to do that. So we come over, we add this one here, and then we just go to link on website. Great. Here's another thing I recommend that you do. Add the link to this video here. So come down to add, click on YouTube video, and why don't you just grab this video, by the way, from YouTube and just paste it in there. Now, the reason why that's really cool is because all the principles I talk about in this video, you can then chat to it when you're doing your audits, which is really cool. If I come over then to my channel or my MMA content on there, and let's just say I grab this basically full course that I did, I can come back over, add it into my Notebook LM, bam. And then you'll add this video, which means that whenever you're doing your AI bottlenecks, you're basically chatting to me. You're chatting to everything that I'm saying right now, including this very sentence, okay? Now, the next thing we want to do is basically add in what we call your core documents, which is going to be the presentation that you give. Now, there's many different ways that you can do this because it depends how you want to present it to the client. I personally think it's much better to have a meeting where we present the findings so we can actually make sure that you fully understand it. And I do that because I actually am expecting to sell them on the call also. So the idea is we do this and we're going to ask it a series of questions, okay? Now, the purpose of this, and this is the presentation that I built, so I'm going to show you what we're really trying to do here with this section, okay? So if I come to AI Audit, the thing that we do using presentations, we have this, and you can see it's got animations, which just just kind of lifts and elevates the quality. Is my personal style. Some people prefer like static decks. That's not the way that JR rolls. So what we want to do first of all is about the brand, really, really important, okay? But actually what the objectives are. So the first thing that we're going to ask the AI to do is, what are the top 3 objectives for this business? Like based on the pre-submitted questionnaire. And by the way, we're also adding in the paper form data. So we've got the pre-submitted questions. We can have all the emails in there, and we had the conversation. That's all the client context. We're going to ask it its top 3 objectives. And then basically you're going to pop them in here. And you can even say, look, make sure that you write it within X amount of characters. That's what I tend to do, just so it's crisp and beautiful. I use Claude because I like the language. Now, this is really the key slide here, which is the current impact slide. Again, I talked to you about the cost of an action. Now, to get here, you've actually got to do what is known as work, right? So we've got to do some actual analysis and scoping out. So we need to kind of understand realistically, if I come back over to our beautiful Canva document here, what effectively we're doing is we're looking now in detail at pretty much, for the quick strike audits, 5 to 8 opportunities, right? And what we need to do is first and foremost understand what the return on investment is for all of them, okay? To do that, we've got to know a couple of things. Number 1 is going to be cost, which is why it's so important to ask these questions ahead of time, right? You need to know things like the ideal state. We're going to be thinking about things like, how long does it take to actually deliver this thing? You know, so on and so on and so forth. This will be your kind of like your bread and butter, but basically we really need to get our hands underneath to understand the commerciality of the opportunities. So for example, I've just pulled up on screen, as you can see here, an ROI calculation formula, just to help you understand this. You're going to look at a few things. So one can be actual money that you're saving. The other one can be time. So if you're saving the business time, that time was basically, that activity was done by somebody who's earning a salary, okay? Say they're earning $50,000 a year. Cool. And if we save 50% of the workload, that's $25,000. Less, actually, now they can work on high leverage opportunities. So we look at the revenue impact. What could this new revenue unlock? So this is like, now we're freeing up $200K per month in potential capital. So you can start to see all the ROI calculations. Implementation costs, they really like you being specific on, well, how much does it cost me? What are the hidden costs? What are the subscriptions? You see how at no point in this I've said that we need to retain all the credentials on any10. It's not relevant. That's not what we're selling. Okay. Payback period. This is really cool. Okay. Payback period is based on implementation costs. How long does it take for them to get their money back? And then risk level is really cool. So an example ROI calculation could be for an automated email response system. Time saved is 10 hours a week at $60 an hour. At 52 weeks, it's $31,200 a year. Awesome. The revenue impact then is 15% faster responses and 5% more conversions, which means you're going to get $12,000 additional benefit there. Your total annual value, therefore, is $43,200. The implementation cost is X. I'll come to that in a second, but I just showed this to exemplify it. Your payback period is 2.1 months, which means if we charge you $5,000 for that, you actually make that back in 2 months. The risk level is low, and then you give them a quick win or like a priority, which I'll show you in a second. Now, what I find very helpful to do is this kind of impact matrix creation, which you can spend like half an hour doing, is you have 2 axes. You have how difficult is it to do and how valuable is it? Now, there is things that are very valuable and easy to do are quick wins. We want to surface those earlier on and lead with the biggest ROI that's accessible. And then the things that are hard to do and low value, we just ignore those things, okay? And then we've got, for example, things here that are high value and difficult to do, we put in our strategy planning phase. So we do that in a few months' time. And then things that are easy to do and fairly low value, they're kind of like nice to have. So realistically, we're looking for the golden zone sort of quick wins. And I put like a little bit of a legend down here so you can check that out. Now, pillar 5 is going to be the delivery of the thing to the client. So I personally don't like sending this out to the client because what they'll read through and check. So I think it's important that you get commentary along it. So we're going to actually present this to you and walk you through everything step by step, and they can have the materials afterwards. Okay. And if they push back on that, you can simply explain that, look, if I give you the data, that the context, it's not going to do you any benefit. I want to be on there to answer any questions immediately. In my experience, when we send the decks out to clients, either it falls down the priority list or they end up having questions and there's miscommunication. Since we're going to have to catch up anyway, we do on a call. That's how it's delivered. So hold fast on that. Expect a call to do this. Realistically, guys, I like to book it in for 50 minutes. Just so usually the calls only last about half an hour because we do a good job of presenting it, but the time's there if we need it. So we go through this step by step. What I like to do always is this concept of don't make me think. Remember, you got system 1 thinking and system 2 thinking. System 2 is the chimp brain. It's emotional. It's like green is good, red is bad. Let's see how it's in red. And the presentation is chimp brain. Okay. I shouldn't have to engage this at any point. I should just be able to see and it makes sense. But you are going to deal with analytical people that want more data, which is why the way that I personally do this is I say, here's the TLDR for you guys that you're losing $95,000. But you can click on this and get the full actual financial breakdown with color-coded headsheets. So do build this out on Excel. Do have that additional information that they can double click into. I've often found most of the time, the mere fact that it's there is enough. I don't need to do, I almost trust that you've done the work because you put that much effort into it. I remember actually in high school, someone did a maths project. They did like 50 pages for a project. Like everyone else did like 10. And he's like, I'm actually not even going to read it. Here's full marks. So you know that it works. Cool. So we've got this. We give them the current impact. Now, what we then do is we basically display to them workflows. So this is basically the current as is state. In the bottom left-hand corner here, we have the beautiful tools that basically explain everything that they're using right now. And we go, here's the start, here's everything. And they're like, this is really a confidence build to show that you actually understand what you've done. And you've kind of captured it. Very few business owners are ever going to have their own business played back to them in real time like this. There's workflow 2, workflow 3. Beautiful. Then this is where it comes in. Now, this is brilliant. So now we go into, this is what you paid us for. So cart recovery system, problem, solution, how much money it saves them, what the benefit is to the business, and anything else. So not only are we saving you $97,500, we're going to increase your cart recovery by 25%, and then we're going to give you 24/7 responses. We give a TLDR overview, for example, Shopify webhook tradersmade.com. When cart sits there for 1 hour, we email a 10% discount. We do abandoned items, email to. It's like, it's very scannable. It's just enough information that kind of gives you, oh, okay, this is really cool, that I can make decisions on it. And then what we do you know what Matrix I showed you earlier, which is quick wins, nice to have? We actually just do that as a card. So it's like a decision-making card that it can have. Now, what I really like to do, and a lot of people who are quite new to business don't do this, but you want ROI, which is what's the ROI payback with this? What's the risk? And the reason I like the risk and the maintenance transparency is because like there are no free lunches, right? We know that it's going to require maintenance. We know that there are sometimes risks, and actually being transparent about that is really key. So then what we do is those 5 to 8 projects we just show. So here's one. There's the second project, the third project, the fourth project, and then the fifth project, explaining again what the benefit is to them. So now they get hyped up, they know you understand, and you pitch the products. Once we've done that, then we go over to the roadmap. Okay. And I'll also say, guys, FYI, all this stuff is actual imagery from the business. Like, take the time to do this. There's nothing more beautiful. Like, I spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars with one particular supplier, and their deck to me had my logo. And I was like, I love that. And it's like, it's true. It's like, there's just something about seeing your own brand. It really feels specific. It's just such an easy hack that everyone misses. You see all this imagery. It's all about the brand. You just grab from their website, spend the 10 minutes doing it. There's no reason why you shouldn't be doing that. So once we've done that, we go through the roadmap. Now, Jack, I want a 12-month roadmap. I don't care. We do 3-month roadmaps. The reason we do that is because it's tangible. We can then just have a further conversation afterwards, but it's really easy. Like month 1, we do quick wins and we detail that. Month 2, we're going to do foundations, the things that we cover. And month 3 is scale prep. Remember, like, less is way more. Like, if you overcomplicate this, you'll just end up not getting people buying it. Like, you've got to keep it really simple. You're kind of bridging a line between complexity and simplicity here, okay? So this is why we have a really simple thing. Like, you work with us, this is what the next 3 months looks like. If you give me a 9-month roadmap, it's too much. 3 months I can deal with. Cool. Then we go on to next step. Now, a couple of things are happening here psychologically. 2 options. So this is a 2-option fallacy. If you give me 5 options, I choose nothing. If you give me 2 options, I'm picking 1. So you notice how I've not said one of the options is that you just don't work with us. Of course not, right? Because you are going to work with us. But what I do here is the big key hero metric here is the amount of money they save. So quick win, which means that you just want us to do these freaking quick wins. The biggest thing we decided, we're going to get you $7,000 to $6,000 a year. I'm like popping my hands here. We'll do it quick. We're going to get you the cart recovery system, 6 implementation, training handoff. It's $10,000 and you'll earn that back within 2 months. And that's how much money you're going to make from that. Cool. Or are you serious about growing? Do you actually want to be a business that's number 1? If you want to be the business number 1, there's $15,000. but you're going to get everything in quick win. You're going to get project 3, you're going to get project 4, you're going to get project 5. Call them by name, by the way. We're going to do training and optimization. We're going to do ongoing support. That's $15,000 and your payback's even quicker, and the ROI is $152,000 per year. Now, strategically, I typically price the grow not massively more expensive, but a little bit more expensive than the quick win. I do have upsells that go beyond this, but the point here is that the obvious answer should be grow. Like, it just should be. So for $5,000 extra dollars, I get projects 3, 4, and 5, plus all these bells and whistles. It's an obvious thing. Dead straightforward. And when you presented that, it's clear. By the way, guys, include the price on the page. Like, you shouldn't have the client like asking, okay, well, what's the cost? What's the cost? Like, I think it's just have it there transparently. Cool. So these would be the next steps. And pause and let them talk. And what's it? A lot of the time you talk you out of the sale, just let it roll. Then we move on to what happens next. So if they say, Jack, it sounds great, I want to think about it. Great. Then we have conversations. Say, awesome. So in my experience, what people don't need is more time. What they need is more information to make better decisions, because time won't improve decision making. What information is it that you need to make a decision that you don't have? Bam. And again, if they say, well, I don't know if it's worth it, you need to come back to this slide. You've not done a good job on this slide. This slide is your hero slide. Do you agree you're losing $95,000 a month using this? Like, and if not, then we can get into specifics, but like, by not doing this, you're losing this money, which is why, guys, I make such a key point of emphasizing this stuff. You have to get the COI. It's so important. It just blow up your conversion rates. So then we go, if they say, great, let's freaking do it. Then I'll say, well, what's next? We'll say, it's so funny you should ask that question, because we've got that covered. Now, look, step 1 is you're going to sign the engagement letter, pay the investment. Does that sound cool? Beautiful. Then we're going to book your one-to-one onboarding call, which is fantastic. And then first automation is going to be deployed within 2 weeks. Beautiful. So we are being clear that they need to sign engagement letter, has our terms. They're going to transfer the money, because that's how we rock and roll. It's very simple pricing, $10,000 and $15,000. You book your onboarding call, and then very clearly you get your first automation within 2 weeks. I like this because I like front loading the value, like as much value as possible. So I would really like to, like, if a client pays me money, it's my job to make sure they have the best experience ever. That's how I personally treat my clients. And I want to front load that. I want them to have an amazing time. It's so, so important. Then once that's done, we just end it with a cool. Again, nice little thank you page, link back to the website if they want to, and can actually visualize that brand. And as soon as you've got paid by the client, there are 2 things that we need to do. The first of all is get a testimonial. The second, that we deliver the value. For example, if you look at my school community, for instance, right, we've got Alex Sumerzi on there. We've got Sam Ovens I'm talking to. There's lots of different things, and it goes on and on. But literally having testimonials from people inside your thing, and we have them on our business, like, just really crushes it. The second thing that you really need to do then to get the long tail side of your business locked down is going to be recurring revenue subscriptions. This could look like something like part of a community. It could be maintenance. There's lots of ways, but effectively, if every client that comes into your orbit ends up paying you $100 a month, that is great baseline recurring revenue that makes your business infinitely more valuable. But now you understand the full basics of how to do the audits. The next thing is actually to lock down your first 5 clients, and you need to then get repeatable systems for getting clients, which you can learn by clicking the link in the top of the description.